The stars looked cold and distant through the observation deck windows of the human research vessel Horizon's Edge. Commander Jake Morrison stood with his hands behind his back, watching the slow approach of the Zilani ship. The alien vessel looked nothing like human designs. Where human ships were built with straight lines and sharp angles, the Zilani craft curved and twisted like some deep-sea creature. "Sir, they're requesting permission to dock," said Communications Officer Amy Rodriguez from her station. Her voice carried a slight nervous edge that she tried to hide. This was only the third official meeting between humans and the Zilani Confederation, and everyone felt the weight of making a good impression. "Granted," Jake replied. He turned to look at his small crew gathered on the bridge. "Remember, this is supposed to be routine. We give them back their commander, they give us back our people. No complications." Dr. Lisa Carter adjusted her tablet and looked up from her notes. "The medical scans show that Commander Kulan is in good health. No signs of mistreatment during his captivity. That should help with relations." Captain Ben Hughes nodded from his position near the tactical display. "The Zilani are bringing 3 of our people back, all alive, all healthy according to their reports. Engineer Martinez, Pilot Chen, and Specialist Brooks. They were captured during that border incident 6 months ago." Jake remembered that incident well. A human survey ship had accidentally crossed into disputed space and been attacked by what seemed to be pirates. The humans had fought back harder than anyone expected, disabling 2 enemy ships before being overwhelmed. It was only later they learned the attackers were actually Zilani military forces testing human responses. "Docking complete," Amy announced. "They're requesting to begin the exchange ceremony in Cargo Bay 2. "Let's go meet our guests," Jake said. The walk to Cargo Bay 2 felt longer than usual. Jake had participated in prisoner exchanges before, but never with an entirely alien species. Everything had to be perfect. One wrong move could damage relations between humans and the Zilani for years. The cargo bay had been cleared and prepared for the ceremony. A simple table sat in the center with chairs on both sides. Human guards stood at attention along one wall, while space was left for the Zilani delegation on the other side. Commander Vextar Kulan sat quietly in his chair, his forearms folded in what Jake had learned was a respectful pose for his species. The Zilani commander was tall and thin, with skin that shifted between blue and green depending on the light. His large eyes seemed to take in everything around him, but Jake noticed something strange. Instead of relief at being freed, Kulan seemed nervous, almost afraid. The airlock cycled, and the Zilani delegation entered the bay. 3 Zilani officers in military uniforms escorted the human prisoners. Jake felt relief when he saw that Martinez, Chen, and Brooks looked healthy and unharmed. They walked steadily, showing no signs of injury or abuse. The lead Zilani officer, who introduced himself as Sub-Commander Ithvar, approached the table. His translator device made his words sound mechanical and flat. "We come to complete the exchange as agreed. These humans will be returned to you in good health. We expect the same for our commander." "Of course," Jake replied. He gestured to Dr. Carter, who approached with her medical scanner. "Dr. Carter has monitored Commander Kulan's health throughout his stay with us. You'll find he has been treated according to all galactic conventions for prisoners of war." The formal words were necessary, but Jake could see that something was wrong. The Zilani delegation kept glancing at their commander with what looked like worry. Sub-Commander Ithvar seemed eager to complete the exchange as quickly as possible. Dr. Carter finished her scan and nodded to Jake. "All medical readings are normal. Commander Kulan is ready for transfer." "Very good," said Sub-Commander Ithvar. He made a gesture, and one of his officers approached to help Kulan stand. But the commander held up one of his hands to stop him. "I request to speak with the human commander before I depart," Kulan said. His voice was deep and resonated strangely in the cargo bay. The effect on the Zilani delegation was immediate. All 3 officers stepped back as if Kulan had announced he was carrying a disease. Sub-Commander Ithvar's skin shifted to a darker shade of blue that Jake had learned indicated distress. "Commander, that is not necessary," Ithvar said quickly. "We should return to our ship immediately." "It is my right under diplomatic protocol," Kulan replied firmly. I request a private audience with Commander Morrison. Jake looked at Captain Hughes, who shrugged slightly. The request was unusual, but not against any rules they knew of. I can arrange that, Jake said. We can use conference room 3. It's private and secure. This is highly irregular, Ithvar protested. Commander Kulan, please reconsider. My mind is made up, Kulan said. He stood slowly, his full height making him tower over the humans. I will speak with the human commander. The exchange of prisoners continued as planned. Martinez, Chen, and Brooks were cleared by Dr. Carter and reunited with the human crew. They looked tired but otherwise unharmed. Jake made a mental note to debrief them later about their time in Zalani custody, but his attention kept returning to Commander Kulan. The alien commander stood apart from his own delegation, who seemed to be arguing with him in low voices in their own language. Jake couldn't understand the words, but the tone was clear. They were trying to talk him out of something. The exchange is complete, Sub-Commander Ithvar announced. We request that Commander Kulan return with us immediately. After his private meeting, Jake said, as requested and agreed to under diplomatic protocol. Ithvar's skin color shifted again, this time to an almost purple shade that Jake had never seen before. Very well, but we expect this meeting to be brief. Jake led Commander Kulan toward conference room 3, aware that something important was about to happen. The alien commander walked beside him silently, but Jake could sense tension in his movements. Whatever Kulan wanted to discuss, it was something that terrified his own people. As they reached the conference room door, Kulan stopped and looked at Jake with his large, dark eyes. Commander Morrison, what I am about to tell you will change everything you think you know about your place in this galaxy. Jake felt a chill run down his spine as he opened the conference room door. Outside in the cargo bay, he could hear the nervous voices of the Zalani delegation. They were afraid of something, and Jake was beginning to suspect that something was whatever their commander was about to reveal. The conference room door sealed shut with a soft hiss. Commander Jake Morrison sat across from the tall alien commander, the table between them seeming very small in the tense silence. Dr. Lisa Carter had joined them at Jake's request, her tablet, ready to record anything important. Commander Kulan folded his forearms carefully and looked directly at Jake. His large eyes seemed to study every detail of the human's face before he spoke. Your species designation in our military databases is not human or Terran, Kulan said quietly. We call you the Reapers. Jake felt his blood turn cold. Lisa's tablet nearly slipped from her hands. Neither human spoke for several seconds. The Reapers? Jake finally asked. Why would you call us that? Kulan's skin shifted to a darker shade of green. Because that is what you are, what you do, what you leave behind when others face you in battle. Lisa leaned forward, her scientific mind pushing through the shock. Commander Kulan, humans have only been traveling between stars for 30 years. We've had very few conflicts with other species. Dr. Carter, that is where you are wrong, Kulan replied. Every major civilization in this galaxy has detailed files on human behavior. We have been watching your species since your first ships reached beyond your solar system. Jake's military training kicked in. Watching us? For what purpose? To understand what kind of threat you represent, Kulan said. At first we thought you were like any young species, aggressive, territorial, but manageable. Then came the Proxima Colony incident. I've never heard of any Proxima Colony incident, Jake said. Kulan nodded slowly. Your government classified it, buried it. They did not want to alarm your population or damage relations with other species. But we all know what happened there. Lisa activated her recording function. What exactly happened? A human colony on Proxima 7 was attacked by Torgan raiders, Kulan began. 300 raiders and 12 ships attacked a settlement of 500 humans. The Torgan expected easy victory. They had superior numbers and military equipment. Jake waited for the alien to continue, but he could already guess the ending would not be what the raiders expected. The humans were supposed to surrender, Cullen continued. Any rational species would have negotiated. given up valuable resources to save lives. Instead, the humans fought. That's normal, Jake said. Humans defend themselves when attacked. No, Commander Morrison. What happened there was not normal. The humans did not just defend themselves, they destroyed every single raider ship. Then they tracked the surviving raiders across 3 star systems. They hunted them down and captured every single one. Lisa looked confused. That sounds like effective defense and law enforcement. Kulan's skin shifted to an even darker color. Dr. Carter, the Torgan are considered one of the most feared raider species in this part of the galaxy. They have been terrorizing trade routes for over 200 years. No military force had ever completely defeated a Torgan raid until the Proxima colonists did it with farming equipment and mining tools. The room fell silent again. Jake was beginning to understand why the alien seemed so nervous. But that's not the worst part, Kulan continued. We obtained recordings of the battle. What we saw changed how every species in this galaxy views your people. What did you see? Jake asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. We saw humans fighting in ways that our psychologists said were impossible. We watched a human farmer continue attacking raiders even after being shot 3 times. We saw a group of human children, some no older than 10 of your years, set traps that destroyed armored vehicles. Lisa's scientific mind was struggling with the implications. Children? They put children in combat? No, Kulan said. The children put themselves in combat, without orders, without adult supervision. They simply saw their families being threatened and began making weapons from whatever they could find. Jake felt a strange mix of pride and horror. They were protecting their home. That is what troubles us most, Kulan said. Most species have strong survival instincts. When facing overwhelming odds, they surrender or flee. Your species becomes more dangerous as the situation becomes more hopeless. The alien commander stood and began pacing, his movements showing clear agitation. The recordings from Proxima showed humans laughing while under enemy fire, singing songs while fighting overwhelming odds, making jokes while planning suicide attacks. Humans use humor to deal with stress, Lisa said weakly. Dr. Carter, humor does not explain what we observed. Your species displays what our experts call paradoxical persistence. The more impossible the situation becomes, the more determined humans become to fight their way out of it. Jake was beginning to understand the fear in the alien's voice. You're saying other species think we're unpredictable? No, Commander, unpredictable would be manageable. Your species is predictable in the worst possible way. When threatened, humans will fight. When outnumbered, humans will fight harder. When facing certain death, humans will try to take as many enemies with them as possible. Kulan stopped pacing and looked directly at Jake. The recent border incident, where my ship was captured, was not random. It was a carefully planned intelligence-gathering mission designed to study human combat behavior in real time. You deliberately attacked our survey ship? Jake's voice carried a dangerous edge. Yes, and what we learned terrified every military commander who reviewed the data. Kulan's voice dropped to almost a whisper. Your crew was outnumbered 5 to 1. They had no military training and only basic defensive weapons. They should have surrendered immediately. But they didn't, Jake said. They disabled 2 of our ships and damaged a 3rd before we could subdue them. But that is not what frightened us. Kulan paused. What frightened us was the communication we intercepted from your survey ship during the battle. Lisa looked up from her tablet. What kind of communication? Your crew was discussing how to ram their ship into ours if they couldn't escape. They were planning to sacrifice themselves to damage our fleet as much as possible. They seemed excited about the idea. The room fell silent once more. Jake realized that what seemed like normal human determination to the humans looked like terrifying fanaticism to other species. Commander Morrison, Kulan said quietly, what troubles us most is not your technology or your numbers or your weapons. What keeps every military commander in this galaxy awake at night is something much simpler. What's that? Jake asked. You seem to enjoy the fight. Commander Kulan sat back down, his forearms trembling slightly. Jake Morrison watched the alien commander carefully, realizing that whatever came next would be even worse than what they had already heard. "There is more you need to understand," Kulan said. "Every spacefaring species in this galaxy is classified by threat level. We use a simple system. Class 1 means harmless. Class 10 means extinction level threat." Dr. Lisa Carter looked up from her tablet. "What class are most species?" "Most civilizations rate between Class 3 and Class 6. My people, the Zilani, are considered Class 7. We are known as one of the more aggressive military powers in this sector." Jake leaned forward. "What class are humans?" Kulan's skin shifted to the darkest shade of green Jake had ever seen. "Class 9, with ongoing debates about upgrading you to Class 10. The silence in the room was complete. Lisa's tablet slipped from her hands and clattered on the table. Jake felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. "Class 9, Jake finally managed to say. "That puts us above your people? Commander Morrison, you are rated higher than every known species except one, and that species destroyed itself in a civil war 3,000 years ago." Lisa picked up her tablet with shaking hands. "Why? What makes humans so dangerous?" 3 separate galactic councils have held emergency sessions to discuss what they call the human problem, Kulan explained. "They study your species constantly. They analyze your communications, your entertainment, your historical records." "And what do they find?" Jake asked. "Things that terrify them," Kulan replied. "Your entertainment shows humans fighting impossible odds and winning. Your history books are filled with stories of individuals choosing death over surrender. Your children play games about war and fighting." Jake frowned. "Those are just stories and games. To you, perhaps. To us, they show a species that thinks about conflict constantly. Most civilizations create entertainment about peaceful activities. Humans create entertainment about war." Lisa was taking notes frantically. "But entertainment doesn't reflect real behavior." "Dr. Carter, we have intercepted thousands of human communications, casual conversations where humans discuss theoretical scenarios about fighting overwhelming odds. Messages where humans debate how they would handle impossible military situations. You think about war the way other species think about food." Kulan stood and began pacing again. "Your military academies teach students about historical battles where humans were outnumbered 100 to 1. Instead of teaching these as examples of what to avoid, you teach them as inspiration. Those battles show human courage and determination," Jake said. "Commander, that is exactly what frightens us. Most species learn from defeat. They study disasters to avoid repeating them. Humans study disasters to learn how to fight better when facing impossible odds." The alien commander stopped pacing and looked directly at Jake. "We have detailed records of something called the Titan Station Siege. Are you familiar with it?" Jake nodded grimly. 93 humans held off 3,000 Kreshtai warriors for 6 months. "Yes. And when we study that battle, we see something that no other species would consider possible. The humans were not trying to survive until rescue arrived. They were preparing for a final assault that would maximize enemy casualties when their position finally fell." Lisa looked confused. "That's just military strategy." "No, Dr. Carter. Military strategy involves preserving your forces and achieving objectives. What the humans at Titan Station were planning was something else entirely. They were designing a way to die that would hurt their enemies as much as possible." Kulan's voice dropped to a whisper. "The siege only ended when human reinforcements arrived, but we obtained the battle plans for their final assault. If those reinforcements had been delayed by even 1 day, the humans would have triggered explosions that would have killed every defender and probably half the attacking force." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The Titan Station defenders were heroes. To humans, yes. To the rest of the galaxy, they represent proof that your species is fundamentally different from any other intelligent life we have encountered. The alien commander returned to his chair. "Most species have survival instincts that prevent them from fighting past the point of reasonable hope. When defeat becomes certain, they surrender or retreat. This is normal. This is sane. This keeps civilizations alive. But humans don't do that," Lisa said quietly. Humans possess what our xenopsychologists call paradoxical persistence. You become more dangerous as situations become more hopeless. You fight harder when you have less chance of winning. You take greater risks when the odds are already impossible. Jake was beginning to understand the scope of the problem. So other species see us as unpredictable? No, Commander, you are extremely predictable. That is what makes you so terrifying. When humans are threatened, they will fight. When humans are losing, they will fight harder. When humans are facing certain death, they will try to make that death as expensive as possible for their enemies. Kulaan paused and looked at both humans carefully. There is something else. Something that frightens the galactic community even more than your combat behavior. What could be worse than what you've already told us? Lisa asked. The influence you have on other species, Kulaan replied. We call it behavioral contamination. Species that have extended contact with humans begin displaying human-like persistence and adaptability. Jake felt his blood turn cold. What do you mean? Human prisoners of war, instead of being broken by captivity, often end up teaching their captors new tactical concepts. Human traders don't just exchange goods, they exchange ideas that change how other species approach problems. The alien commander's skin shifted to an even darker shade. The Kreshtai who fought at Titan Station reported that their own warriors began adopting human fighting techniques. They started taking risks they would never have considered before. Some even chose to fight to the death rather than retreat. That sounds like they learned courage, Lisa said. Dr. Carter, courage is one word for it. But from the perspective of Kreshtai leadership, their warriors had been infected with a dangerous madness that made them impossible to control. Cullen stood once more, his full height making him tower over the seated humans. Commander Morrison, the galaxy's various species are not just afraid of human military might. They are afraid of becoming like humans. Jake realized the full implications of what he was hearing. They're afraid we'll change them. The very qualities that make humans formidable spread to others through contact. Your refusal to accept defeat, your tendency to find opportunity in crisis, your ability to unite former enemies against common threats. These traits are contagious. The room fell silent as both humans absorbed this information. Finally, Jake asked the question that had been building in his mind. Commander Kalan, why are you telling us this? What does your government hope to gain? The alien commander looked at Jake with what might have been sadness in his large eyes. Commander Morrison, my government is not hoping to gain anything. They are hoping to prevent a war that will destroy every civilization in this galaxy. What kind of war? The war that 3 galactic councils are currently planning against your species. Commander Jake Morrison felt the walls of the conference room closing in around him. The word war hung in the air like a death sentence. Dr. Lisa Carter had gone completely pale, her tablet forgotten on the table. War? Jake asked quietly. Against all of humanity? Commander Kulan nodded slowly. There is a secret alliance formed specifically to deal with your species. Every major galactic power belongs to it except humans. They call it the Stability Compact. Lisa found her voice. How long has this alliance existed? Since your species first achieved faster-than-light travel, Kulan replied. 30 years of careful planning and preparation. Jake's military mind immediately began calculating the implications. If every major power was united against humanity, the odds were impossible. How many species are we talking about? 47. Major civilizations and over 200 minor ones, Kulan said. The combined fleet strength is approximately 50,000 ships of various classes. The numbers hit Jake like a physical blow. Humanity had maybe 300 ships capable of interstellar combat. The math was terrifying. But it gets worse, Kulan continued. The Compact has been actively working against human expansion for decades. Many of the problems your species has faced are not accidents. Lisa leaned forward, her scientific mind engaging despite her fear. What kind of problems? Trade routes that mysteriously close when humans try to use them. Technology. Exchanges that fail for unknown reasons. Diplomatic incidents that keep humans fighting among themselves instead of expanding outward. Jake thought about the various conflicts and setbacks humanity had experienced over the past decades. Border disputes with other human colonies, equipment, failures on exploration missions, trade agreements that fell through at the last minute. The Vega sector incident 2 years ago, Jake said slowly, when 3 human cargo ships disappeared. Pirates, according to your reports, Kulan confirmed. Actually a compact operation designed to make that trade route too dangerous for human use. The mining disaster on New Colorado? Lisa asked. Sabotage. The mining equipment was programmed to fail at critical moments. Jake felt anger building in his chest. How many humans died because of these operations? The compact keeps careful records. Approximately 43,000 deaths over the past 20 years. The room fell silent. Jake struggled to control his rage. 43,000 people murdered in a secret war that humanity didn't even know was happening. There's something else you need to understand, Kulan continued. First contact between humans and galactic civilization was not the peaceful meeting your history books describe. What do you mean? Lisa asked. There were 17 previous contact attempts. All of them ended badly for the alien explorers. Jake's blood turned cold. What happened to them? The first 3 ships that encountered humans simply vanished. No distress signals, no wreckage, they just disappeared. Kulan's skin shifted to a darker shade. The 4th ship managed to send a final transmission before it was destroyed. The message was brief but terrifying. What did it say? They're not like us. They don't surrender. They learn. They adapt. They hunt. Lisa's tablet slipped from her hands again. Hunt? The human ships that destroyed the first contact vessels didn't just defend themselves. They tracked down and eliminated every ship in the contact fleet. Then they began searching for the home worlds of the species that had found them. Jake realized the implications immediately. Early human explorers thought they were being invaded. Yes. And they responded the way humans always respond to threats. They went on the attack. Kulan began pacing again, his movements showing clear agitation. By the time the 5th contact attempt was made, word had spread through the galactic community. Humans were classified as a hostile species before most of the galaxy even knew what you looked like. But eventually peaceful contact was established, Lisa pointed out, only after extensive preparation by the compact. The official first contact was carefully planned and executed by a joint task force. They brought overwhelming military force and made it clear that any aggressive action would result in the destruction of your entire home system. Jake felt sick. Everything humans thought they knew about their place in the galaxy was a lie. The compact has been gradually escalating. Their containment efforts, Kulan continued. Each time they try something new, hoping to slow or stop human expansion without triggering an open war. Why avoid open war? Jake asked. Because every computer simulation of open conflict with humans ends the same way. Total galactic devastation. Even if the compact wins, the cost would destroy galactic civilization. Lisa looked up from her notes. But you said they're planning war anyway. The situation has changed. The compact has detected signs that humans are beginning to recognize. The pattern of deliberate obstacles. Your intelligence services are starting to ask uncomfortable questions. Jake thought about recent briefings he had received. There had been mentions of unusual patterns in human setbacks, coincidences that seemed too convenient to be natural. More importantly, Kulan continued, human expansion has accelerated despite compact efforts. Your species now has colonies in 47 star systems. Each new colony makes you harder to contain. So they've decided to act before we get stronger, Jake concluded. The compact has moved to Phase 3 containment protocols. This prisoner exchange was not diplomacy, Commander Morrison. It was reconnaissance. Jake felt his heart skip a beat. Reconnaissance for what? For the final operation, the one the compact planners call the cleansing. The words hung in the air like a curse. Lisa made a small sound that might have been a sob. The cleansing is designed to cripple human civilization before it can spread further, Kulan explained. Simultaneous strikes on every human world, Military targets first, then infrastructure, then population centers. Genocide, Jake whispered. Complete extinction. The Compact has decided that humanity is too dangerous to be allowed to exist. Jake stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. When? The operation begins in 6 months. Compact forces are already moving into position around human space. Lisa looked up with tears in her eyes. Is there any way to stop it? Kulan was quiet for a long moment. Dr. Carter, I am violating every oath I have ever taken by telling you this. My own species will execute me as a traitor if they discover what I have done. Why risk it? Jake asked. Because some of us believe that fighting your species is not just wrong. It's suicide. You're not the galaxy's most dangerous species because you're strong or numerous. You're dangerous because you make everyone around you dangerous too. The alien commander looked directly at Jake. When humans discover betrayal, they don't just fight back, they remember. And they teach others to remember too. What does that mean? It means that if the Compact attacks your species, they won't just face human resistance. They'll face the resistance of every species that humans have influenced. Every civilization that has learned human persistence. Every military that has adopted human tactics. Kulan moved toward the door. The Compact believes they can eliminate your species quietly before you realize what's happening. They're wrong. How can you be sure? Because, Commander Morrison, I have studied your species for 20 years, and I know what happens when humans discover they're being hunted. Jake waited for the explanation. Humans don't just unite against common enemies. They turn the hunt around. They become the hunters. Commander Jake Morrison stood in the conference room, his mind racing through everything he had learned. The weight of the information felt crushing. 47 civilizations planning to destroy humanity. Decades of secret warfare. 6 months until total war. There's more, Commander Kulan said quietly. Things about the Compact that even most of its members don't know. Dr. Lisa Carter looked up from her notes. What kind of things? The military buildups are massive, far larger than what would be needed to simply defeat your species. The Compact is preparing for something much worse than war. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What could be worse than genocide? The complete restructuring of galactic civilization. The Compact leadership believes that human influence has already spread too far. They plan to eliminate any species that shows signs of behavioral contamination. The room fell silent. Lisa's hands were shaking as she tried to write notes. How many species are we talking about? Jake asked. At least 12 major civilizations, and perhaps 50 minor ones. Any species that has had significant contact with humans. Any military that has adopted human tactics. Any culture that has started valuing persistence over surrender. Kulan moved to the small window in the conference room and looked out at the stars. The Kreshtai will be eliminated because their warriors learned human fighting techniques. The Volani Trade Confederation will be destroyed because they started using human negotiation methods. The list goes on. Jake realized the scope of what the alien was describing. They're planning to destroy anyone who might think like humans. The Compact calls it stabilization protocol. They believe that human psychological traits are a disease that must be completely eradicated from the galaxy. Lisa found her voice. But why are you telling us this? Your own species is part of the Compact. Kulan turned from the window, his large eyes reflecting what looked like sadness. Dr. Carter, my species is also on the elimination list. The Aitora words hit Jake like a physical blow. What? The Zalani military has been studying human tactics for 2 years. We have started training our soldiers to show more persistence in combat. Our commanders have begun planning operations that would have been considered too risky before contact with humans. Kulan's skin shifted to the darkest shade Jake had ever seen. The Compact leadership has decided that my people have been too contaminated by human influence to be trusted. So you're warning us to save your own species, Jake said. Partly yes, but also because I have come to believe that what humans call courage, the Compact calls madness, and I prefer courage to the alternative. Lisa looked confused. What alternative? Galaxy where every species is afraid to take risks, where no one fights for anything beyond basic survival, where entire civilizations surrender at the first sign of real threat. Kalan began pacing again. Commander Morrison, I have studied the historical records of every species in the galaxy. Before human contact, galactic civilization was stagnant. No one explored dangerous regions of space. No one attempted difficult scientific projects. No one stood up to powerful enemies. That sounds peaceful, Lisa said. It was dying, Kulan replied. Civilizations that never take risks eventually stop growing. They become weak and timid. They wait for someone else to solve their problems. Jake was beginning to understand. Human influence changed that. Species that have worked with humans have begun attempting projects they would never have considered before. They explore dangerous areas of space. They stand up to threats instead of hiding from them. They risk failure to achieve something greater. The alien commander stopped pacing and looked directly at Jake. The compact sees this as contamination. I see it as awakening. But if your people are marked for elimination anyway, what can you do? Jake asked. I can make sure that humans know what's coming, and I can hope that when the fighting starts, humans remember who warned them. Kulan moved toward the door. Commander Morrison, there is something else you need to understand about your species. Something that gives me hope. What's that? Human. Prisoners of war don't just survive captivity. They escape. And when they escape, they bring others with them. Lisa looked up from her tablet. Others? Every human prisoner we have captured has attempted to free other prisoners from different species. You don't just save yourselves. You save everyone you can reach. Jake felt a strange pride mixed with the fear and anger. That's just the right thing to do. Commander, most species barely care about their own prisoners. The idea of risking your life to save prisoners from other species is completely alien to galactic thinking. Kulan paused at the door. But humans do it automatically, without thinking, without being ordered. You see someone in trouble and you help them. So when the compact attacks, they won't just be fighting humans. They'll be fighting every species that humans have helped, every prisoner you've freed, every civilization you've defended, every culture you've inspired to be braver. The alien commander's voice grew stronger. The compact thinks they're planning to eliminate a dangerous species. They're actually planning to attack the one species that makes allies out of enemies. Jake realized what Kulan meant. You think other species will fight alongside us? No, they will. Because humans have spent 30 years teaching other species that some things are worth fighting for. Kulan opened the door but turned back one more time. Commander Morrison, the compact believes they can destroy your species because they see you as isolated and outnumbered. They're wrong. Why? Because humans aren't just humanity. You're everyone you've touched, everyone you've inspired, everyone you've saved, everyone you've taught to be better than they thought they could be. The alien commander stepped through the doorway. When the war comes, the compact will discover something that their computer simulations never accounted for. What's that? That humans are not just the galaxy's most dangerous species. You're also the galaxy's most loved species. And love is more dangerous than fear. Jake watched Kulan walk away, knowing the alien was probably walking toward his own death, but also knowing that humanity now had a chance to prepare for what was coming. He activated his communication device. Captain Hughes, this is Morrison. Change course immediately. Set heading for Earth, maximum speed. Sir, what about the diplomatic mission? Jake looked out at the stars, thinking about 47 civilizations preparing for war and 6 months to get ready. The diplomatic mission just became a warning mission. And Hughes? Yes, sir. Send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them it's time to call in every favor we've ever earned. We're going to need all the friends we can get. As the horizon's edge turned toward home, Jake realized that Commander Kulan was right about one thing. When humans discovered they were being hunted, they didn't just fight back. They turned the hunt around. The galaxy's most dangerous species had just learned they were at war, and they were about to remind everyone why they earned that title.